Hey guys, don't forget, Ice-T and the Hippogriff episodes can be listened to on the go using the Anchor app or Anchor website on any mobile device or computer. Just type Ice-T and the Hippogriff in the search bar. You can also get notifications to catch Ice-T and the Hippogriff recordings live on twitch.tv by following our Twitch channel. Find it at twitch.tv/IceTKirby. Enjoy the show.
People like to get worked up about things, and that's just not our style. So to save you guys a call to the authorities, take a listen to this. The opinions and ideas you hear are those of the hosts, their guests, and their callers, and not those of the companies, sponsors, or advertisers for this podcast. And with that said, enjoy the show.
All right, spin the tracks, Victoria. We're in it. Welcome back to episode 1, which is weird saying because we already had an episode already, of Ice-T and the Hippogriff. My name is Jesse. I am also known as Ice-T Kirby on social media platforms, and my wonderful co-host Victoria is here with us today. Say hello, Victoria.
Hi, everybody.
Yes, she's here. She is also known as Do the Hippogriff on her social media. Today, there is a little bit of technical difficulties regarding her camera, so she has opted out of being on camera for today, and that's fine. No biggie. So I replaced her with the cute hippogriff in the corner here on Twitch. She is now officially what she says she is on social media, which is a hybrid of a
majestic free creature.
a majestic, yeah. Okay. Anyway, starting. Let me say this before we start. Starting this week, you can catch us live on twitch.tv/IceTKirby every Thursday, not Saturday. Today's an exception because we planned it for today, but starting next week, and we agreed to this, we will be doing Thursday live sessions and recordings. That way, when our regular schedules come back and everything seems to be back to normal, we will still have the opportunity to record after work or wherever we are, and do all that fun stuff. And our recordings of our show, of our podcast, will be released on Tuesdays. So, like, this episode will be released this coming Tuesday on various platforms. And I have some news about that as well. A little bit of housekeeping here. We have officially signed up to keep our podcasts up on Anchor, which is like a podcast hosting site, and they actually distribute our show to various other platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Play Music, and others, a bunch of other platforms. So we will be able to spread our topics and our conversations, across multiple things. But yes, I hope everyone's having a fantastic weekend so far. I know I am. I think this week has gone by pretty fast, which I didn't think it would. I thought it would be a lot slower because of the nature of this staying home and almost doing nothing but something at the same time. I don't know. It's crazy. How's it going with you, Victoria?
Oh, it's I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I've been pretty I started the week off pretty productive, but the last few days I've been really lazy. I saw this meme that put it together. There's nothing like sitting down in the living room all day to go lay down in my bed. You know?
Yeah,
it's been really stationary.
No, I know exactly how you feel. I ended up sleeping in today. No, I seriously, I stayed up so late last night hanging out with friends and playing video games and stuff that I ended up staying up until 4:30 in the morning, and now here I am uh, just sleeping in until 2, which,
Look at
you know,
you.
yeah, which is kind of crazy. So, um, but yeah, today's topic, and today what we're going to talk about today, and Victoria, feel free to, you can lead this discussion because I know you've done a lot of your studying and a lot of your research, and and I'm sure everyone can relate to this topic. But stimulus, say it with me now, stimulus.
Stimulus.
What is this thing? Why is this thing? Do you get it? Does everyone receive it? We don't know, or do we? Because we do because we researched it. But we were going to talk a lot about today about this stimulus check that people are receiving as a result of the coronavirus and this whole outbreak and pandemic. But I'm going to let you take it away, Victoria, because you have a lot of things to say, and I read all of your notes today, and I want to hear what you have to say about this stimulus check that's coming into everybody over the course of a few weeks. And I see a lot of people in a lot of people in chat have said they've been stimulated. so which is, I guess, a good thing. But yeah, Victoria, what do you think's going on with this thing?
Let's keep you guys involved. The stimulus check, I think, aside from this whole pandemic, when it first started, I think that was the scariest thing that came to people. More scary than COVID-19 was, if we shut down all of our jobs, if all work forms of making money are closed off, how are we supposed to pay our bills? How are we going to keep people from coming and evicting us? How am I supposed to go on the internet and pursue my passion of starting a podcast with my college friend?
Mm-hmm.
It's and the purpose of the check, was to provide Americans with a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit of comfort in this very confusing time about your bills. The government determined that single people will receive $1,200 in their bank account. People that are married will get $2,400, and families of 4 would get a check for about $3,400. And the basis of this check was determined on, just to get the bare necessities out of the way. Get your bills taken care of, get your kids some food, and just rest easy right now while the government, like your parents, just comes in and takes care of the problem for you. It's been a real trying time because people are still having issues filing for unemployment, and they're so confused how some people who haven't filed for unemployment have still received their stimulus checks. People who haven't filed their taxes get their stimulus check, and then there's people who have filed their taxes, not gotten their tax returns, and still can't file for unemployment and are still waiting for these stimulus checks. It's really crazy. But for the most part, as long as you are an American, a citizen with a social security number, and you file taxes, you will get a stimulus check for at least $1,200. So, this gets me really interested because, for some reason people think $1,200 is like a grand amount of money.
And it's not.
It's in the reality of it, it's really not. $1,200, especially after all this research, $1,200 it's really not a lot, but it, for the most part, is doing what the government explained to us what they were going to do, which is just to take care of you right now, immediately. It's not meant for you to just go on a vacation with. That's not what the government's here to do. They want you to pump the money and be comfortable. So, certain things that I started thinking about, because I do unfortunately know some people that will not be receiving this check. But for the most part, those of us that have received the check, I started wondering, what are you going to do with it? It's just a Band-Aid for right now. But
Right.
are you going to sit on it and you're going to leave it in your savings account? Are you watching a vacation? Are you in a financially stable situation that the stimulus check, you don't need it? Like, you can just save it, and when something really cool comes your way, you're going to jump on it, or did you spend it already? I do have a couple of friends that have already spent the check.
Yeah, I also have a few friends. I specifically posted on Facebook a post asking people what they've been doing with their check, if they got their check. And I've gotten a myriad of responses of different ways and fashions they've used this money. But I think one thing that people do want to know and be sure about, because I still see a little bit of confusion online, is who's eligible for this check. And I went on the IRS website itself, and they do have a frequently asked questions section, which is very convenient for everybody. But this is what I've come up with, and I'll read this just as I have it in my notes for those of you who are listening to this. For those who may not know, U.S. residents will receive the economic impact payment of $1,200, $1,200 for individual or head of household filers. Filers obviously being people who file their taxes. And $2,400 for married filing jointly if they are not a dependent of another taxpayer and have a work-eligible Social Security number with adjusted gross income up to... I know this is already sounding like a huge bite. So let's water this down. Basically, if you filed your taxes, I believe in 2019 or 2018, and you are independent and make under a certain amount, which I'll get to in a minute, you will receive this $1,200 stimulus check, this economic impact payment. If you are married to somebody and you are not independent, you will receive a joint sum of $2,400 or $2,400. And this is what it says according to the website. Individuals, so people who are not married and they are solo, okay, they will receive the check if they make $75,000 or less per year. And this is where I think people get confused, because it's not just anybody. If you make over $75,000, you don't actually receive this stimulus check. If you are married and both of you jointly... Wait, let me read this. Let me make sure I'm reading this. It says $75,000 for individuals, $112,000 for head of household filers, and $150,000 for married couples filing joint returns. There, I read it. So those are like the basic guidelines for this thing. Now, there are people who might receive a reduced payment if their income is between $75,000 and $99,000 if they're solo, or if they're married and filing separately. So if you're filing without joint filing and you make between $75,000 and $99,000, you will get a reduced payment. And I think that reduced payment, we don't know much. Oh, actually, I do know. I have that information, but hold on one sec before I get to that. Taxpayers will receive a reduced payment if their income is between $112,000 and $136,000 if they're filing jointly. And then last but not least, $150,000 to $198,000 if their filing status is a married. If they're married and they're filing jointly. If you're head of household, it's $112,000, and I think that's if you're like a parent with like children, if that makes sense. So,
Excuse me.
But as far as the reduced payment goes, the amount of the reduced payment will be based on the taxpayer's specific adjusted gross income, and so that means basically that just means it depends on how much you make. And that will depend on the reduced amount. And I don't know the percentages for that. It did not list it on the IRS website. I'm sure if you have an accountant that you file with, you'll be able to, figure out those numbers with them. But I think that's more of a specific private home matter with that. But I just wanted to throw that out there because that's the gist of the, do I get mine or not? So,
It kind of does play into a part of it. I don't have it in front of me right now, but I do recall that it was brought to my attention. If you earn over $75,000, $5 will be subtracted for every additional $100 of income. So the reality of it is, if you make in the neighborhood of $85,000, you're not getting a stimulus check. And, some people, in some people's opinions, if you're making upwards of $80,000 a year. You know, a $1,200 check should not even be there for you because, you know, they're under the impression that you are doing more than just living paycheck to paycheck. I don't know about you. You don't have to say that, but I definitely don't make $75,000 a year.
Right.
So, you know, and for some people, you know, that's fine. For some people, they're okay with not getting the extra help. And it is what it is. But for the most part, as long as you are a tax-paying American with a social security number, which for a lot of people, there's, you know, a real big black and white area for them, you are going to get a paycheck. And, you know, it's been really cool this week, getting to know some more about the types of people that are getting it and the types of people that are not getting it.
Mm-hmm.
I really, like, it was nice to reach out to some of my friends and even have them reach out to me to, you know, really hear what they have to say, because, you know, I'm not interested in, like, you know, like, exposing you or anything like that. I'm interested in, like, what your story is. I'm interested in, you know, bringing to light, like, what your situation is, you know, because we always find ourselves in the situation where, you know, oh, we're all so different, but, you know, we're all doing this together. We're all
Yeah.
experiencing this together. And I think it's important that we all see everybody's perspective, because you turn on the news and you see the same 5 or 6 people talking every day. You know, you don't ever see them going into the community to really talk to certain people. You know, I got in touch with my friend Natalia, and she's a middle school language arts teacher who unfortunately has not received her stimulus check. You know, the good news is that she's still working. You know, she is still working, so she still has an income of some kind coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, she's transitioned to online learning, and, you know, it's been a whirlwind of an experience for her, I'm sure, as it's been for you. And she's okay. You know, she says that she's staying afloat, her expenses are being paid for, but, you know, she's really excited to get her check because it will take care of some of her bills. And she does. Her and her fiance got engaged about a year ago, and they are really excited to get married. So they're both, it seems, to put this check towards their wedding, which is a really big deal for a lot of people. You know, some people can't have that amazing luxurious wedding because money does become a factor. So this is a situation where, you know, the stimulus check is going to help her in multiple walks of her life.
Yeah, I actually want to expand on this a little bit because, like I said, I asked a bunch of people on Facebook what they plan on doing with this money, and you know, if they're going to save it, if they're going to spend it on something that they really need, or if it's just a want. And people in the chat on Twitch here at IceTKirby, twitch.tv/IceTKirby, feel free to share what you want to spend your money on, and we'll try to get you to, you know, we'll shout out your wants and needs in the chat as well, because we are genuinely curious how this money is going to be spent, how it's going to go back into the economic flow of things here. But for me personally, and here's my end of this story. I actually did not get mine, and unfortunately, due to some miscommunications between myself and my family's accountant, I haven't been able to receive my check, and I figured out why. Thankfully, I figured out why that is, and it makes sense. But yeah, it's interesting being in the back seat of this. And I see in chat already, I have some people that are agreeing that they also haven't gotten their check yet. And I'll say this before I get into this story. If you do want to check and see if your stimulus package is coming in or not, you can actually check on the IRS website. If you go to the irs.gov, there is a link there that says "Get My Payment." And if you follow the instructions on the website, it'll actually tell you whether or not your check has been deposited, or where it's going, or if it's going at all. And that's how I figured out that my check mysteriously disappeared. And I'm not saying this as clickbait. It basically, I checked this website at irs.gov, and when I did, I put in the information, and it said your check is scheduled to be deposited, direct deposit, on April 15th, which was this past Wednesday, and it said it will be going to this bank account, and it'll say the last 4 digits of the bank account number of which it's being directly deposited into. And sure enough, I'm like, for one, I checked my bank account and I said, it's not here. It's definitely not on this list of deposits. And secondly, the bank account number that they displayed on the IRS website was not mine. So I immediately kind of freaked out, and I called my mother and told her, hey, like, do you by chance happen to have a bank account ending in these 4 digits? And at first she said no, and so we both kind of freaked out together. But then after a little while, she called back and realized it's actually the digits of her old bank account, because we used to have a joint family account, and it got we had to close it because she got frauded. People tried to take money from her account because she got scammed, and so she wanted to drop the account and create a new one. And so the IRS has the old number, and yeah, it's a crazy story. But basically, I have to refile and update through the IRS through our accountant. And to be honest, because there's no way to contact the IRS, there's no way to know when am I getting it, where am I getting it? Is it going to be in this form of a paper check, like some people have been saying? Is it going to be direct deposit just later on? So it's a whirlwind. So I would imagine for people, and that's coming from someone, I'm not financially in danger, you know. I can't imagine the people who are maybe financially unstable, or they're not in a good place right now. They go to this website to check their information, and then there's nothing to say for it. You know, the check is in your account, but it's not really, or you're not getting it because this, that, and another. So, I can't imagine how awkward and scary it would be for people to not have their checks. So, but yeah, that was just my story with this past week regarding the stimulus check. But
you're not alone. You're not alone, Jesse. There's a lot of people who still haven't gotten their checks. I'll be completely transparent. I received my check on Monday via direct deposit, and it was just sitting there where I would normally expect my tax returns to go. And it was shocked. I was very shocked to have received the check as quickly as I got it. You know, nothing like that ever happens to me or my family, where we get these things that just come so smooth. There's always some type of complication. So just the fact that, myself and my brother did receive our stimulus checks without any hesitation. My parents opted for paper checks. Unfortunately, we've all been the victim of identity theft at one point or another. And, they've picked what they would say is the more safe route to get their tax returns. But, in regards to getting your stimulus check, yes, it does delay you. However, I would like to reference a video I saw on YouTube. It was by a businessman named Maxwell Maher, Maher, and he pointed out that TurboTax, for those of you familiar with TurboTax, is a tax filing program. Instead of going to H&R Block or going to an accountant, you just, this is a do-it-yourself program. It teaches you step by step how to file your taxes and what they determine to be getting you the most money back for the year. TurboTax has partnered with the IRS to create a portal through TurboTax into the IRS for you to set up a direct deposit account. So, for people that maybe moved, changed banks, closed an account and opened another account with the same financial institution, you will in the near future have the opportunity to log on and put that information. Because let's be real with ourselves here. Let's just pretend that we're out of work from April until at least October. Sincerely, do you think that you're going to be able to go all the way to October based on whatever savings account you may or may not have right now?
Right.
So there's a lot of people who don't really have a savings account, and whatever savings account they do have, they are going to have to dip into. Like, I'm in a very fortunate position, like you. I'm not in any financial danger at all. I have money in my savings account, and I have enough money to just finally start over.
Yeah.
Finally.
So basically,
going.
Right. Yeah. So what you're saying is that, and I'm going to just say this again to process it in my own brain. So TurboTax is supposedly coming up with a portal in which you can update your uh, financial information. Did I get that right?
Correct.
Oh, and I just
Correct.
want to thank our latest follower here. Thank you for following, guys. And I'll just repeat this. Shout out to twitch.tv/IceTKirby. That is where you can listen to us live and do these podcast recordings. But anyway, yeah, so that would be really helpful, especially for someone like me who I can't get a hold of the IRS. I can't call them. They literally have removed their phone numbers from their website. And my Bank of America, I have a Bank of America, woohoo. They told us what we can do, but they themselves cannot also contact the IRS. So I'm noticing in chat, and I just want to take a moment to recognize the chat here, that they're saying that they've received their checks, most of them. Danjo Draws says paper checks may not arrive until May, and I've actually heard May or even later than that. I've heard some people say up to 6 months. These paper checks might not make it to your mailbox within 6 months, it's almost like, what's the point of the check if you can't even have access to it in a timely fashion? So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
So
that takes me.
what were we gonna say? No, your turn. Go for it.
Oh no, not at all, not at all. I did want to mention that though, like just to bring a little more light to the severity of that situation, to somebody else that I had spoken to about their check, if they did or did not receive the check.
Right.
She.
I do want to ask this. You have your check, and I have plans for what I might do with mine. I'm curious, Victoria, what do you plan on using it for or doing with it, if anything?
The plan is really, really simple. I have a credit card that I am very close to paying off, and that has been haunting me for a while. So I'm really eager. And I haven't touched the check yet, truthfully, just because like I don't have a solid income. I don't want to pay off my credit card just yet. What if I really need that in a few weeks? So, I'm just sitting on it right now. But when the time comes and I can pull the trigger, I am going to pay off my credit card, and I am going to use the rest of it to buy a new car.
Oh, okay. Getting a nice new car out there, driving down the road with your stimulus car, right? Hashtag stimulus car, right? No, that's cool.
That's probably on the license plate, stimulus.
Yes, like an acronym, or like a shortened version without the vowels, so you can fit all the 6 characters into your license plate. No, that's cool. Personally, I haven't really thought too much about what I would spend it on, if I would spend it. Half of me wants to put it away in a savings account and just let it grow interest. The other half wants to buy a new monitor for my setup here in my desk in the bedroom studio, as I can call it, which sounds kind of weird, but let's move on. I just kind of want, I don't know. I'm not sure, but I will say this. I would like to recognize some people here on Facebook that have shared their expenditures, if you will, on the stimulus. Some people who haven't, but a friend, Brianna, says, I've bought new tires and a gaming chair so far. Definitely not truly free, and that's regards to whether the stimulus check is actually free, and we can get to that in a minute. But and she thinks we'll be paying for it somehow if we haven't already. Gaming chair. That sounds like something I can spend it on. And new tires. Oh, tires is a good one. Having tires are expensive. With just buying 4 tires is expensive. That's a good idea. Yeah, I need some more ideas on how to spend this money if I'm going to spend it, because I want to spend it wisely.
Teach yourself.
Do you have any? Let's see. I'm looking through here. I put it all in the stocks. This is Jackie. From Facebook, says, I put it all into stocks. If I have to pay it back, that's fine. It will make me money and profit until then. See, that's the smart person thing to do. I'm not smart enough to invest in stocks. I don't even know how they work or anything like that. Stocks freak me out. I feel like if you make a wrong move with stocks, you can actually like put yourself into like a really bad place. And I could be wrong about that. I don't know. I don't know anything about stocks, but let's see. Sarah says it's not free. this is the kind of thing our tax money should be allocated for. Okay, so that's true. This, this is, I guess, tax money, and it's being allocated for a good reason. Brandon says, let's see, where is it? Oh no, let's do Chloe. Chloe, it's an advance on your next year's return. That's what she thinks as far as the money goes. Mine is still sitting in savings. It'll stay there. I plan on to leave it there for emergency funds. Okay, so another smart answer. Another person being a little proactive instead of reactive to this money in a way. So
people are thinking forward now about the situation. A lot of people, I've been hearing talk about people saying, stocks are the way to go right now. Online trading, Forex, if you're familiar with the foreign exchange, it's booming right now because, we're going to that age of technology. Notice as things change, we start phasing out of certain things. The rising popularity of debit cards and credit cards, cash is going to start fading away as time goes on. If you notice, Monopoly is not paper money anymore. Monopoly is credit cards. They literally have a spinner and you swipe a credit card and you play the game. So some people are thinking they're not reacting. Oh my God, I have a $1,200 check. They're reacting proactively by trying to put the money in a place where it's going to grow. I'm also on the side of what are you going to do if and when technology crashes and your virtual money is not in your hand. As far as the stocks go, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as gambling. You are 50-50 chance this is going to work out for you, and good luck.
Good luck.
Real,
no, you're right. You're right.
That's what they did. When they did away with pensions and moved on to 401ks, and people just saw that 401ks are just kind of like, blah. They had to kind of make a way for people to be more hands-on with this stuff. So that's when they brought about that idea. If you invest your 401k this way and these types of stocks, these are things that would, help you, and you grow it and it goes towards your retirement. Home Depot has that. Publix offers that. I believe a Hard Rock offers things like that. I'm personally speaking from my own experiences. I don't want anyone to think that I'm just pulling my information out of nowhere, but they don't really teach you how to use it. They don't teach you what to do with it. And they don't, tell you what's a sound investment. So, I'm 22 years old thinking, nah, I'm good. I don't want to do stocks. Let me just leave my money alone.
Yeah. And I right. And I like what PJ says in the Twitch chat here. PJ says, meet with a financial advisor and get professional advice customized to you. And I think that's a safe thing to do. If you're not sure what to do with this money, if you don't want to put it in savings, but you also want to spend it, and you don't know how to allocate this money in a safe way or in a wise way, I definitely agree with meeting with a professional advisor who can help you, or an accountant who can help you get that kind of stuff sorted out. And that's literally what I've done with my family. As I mentioned before, me and my mother, we used to we use the same accountant now, but we leave everything together with that. So I do agree with that. And, I would always leave something like money to a professional who knows what they're doing. They know how to set up your accounts and how you should do things and sign waivers and receive money, yeah. It's just,
their job is to teach you how to save your money to make the money.
Exactly.
Speaking of making money, I got in touch with my friend Edith. My friend Edith is a first responder and a mother of 2 children, along with her boyfriend. They are among the very small population of people in this country who have not been impacted really at all by COVID-19. Edith is an EMT, and she's been super fortunate to not have been exposed to the coronavirus directly. She, with her department, PPE, personal protective equipment, great standing. Her and her boyfriend received a stimulus check. And they got them for 2 of their kids as well. So, they got the full $3,400. And, they're in a really fortunate position right now. They're both working full time. So the income is just coming. And now they have an extra $3,400 to sit on top of. So, I asked her what are her plans with the toddlers, what they want to do with it. She says they're not going to touch it. they're going to put it away because the reality of it is they don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of months, and they don't know when something might come up. But she did point out that, God forbid she did not have her job right now, that check was only going to cover 1 month of expenses. It was not going to do anything else for them. They were not going to be able to stay afloat. So in a way, that's good. You don't mo money, no problems, right?
No, yeah, no, I completely agree. And as I mentioned, even before we started talking about how we're going to spend this is not really money that I necessarily need either. Is it beneficial? Of course. Is it helpful? Of course. But this, as I keep on reading more people saying that they're putting it into savings and they're not really touching it to spend it, that seems to be where I'm leaning towards in regards to the stimulus check. I just want to point out another Twitch chat comment. Danjo Draws says possibly with eCoins. Oh, he's referring to the digital money age that we're kind of going into and the lack of physical money, but possibly with eCoins, but stocks, your money exists as long as the company does. So he's referring to the stocks that we mentioned before. Buying a stock of Disney or any other big company with his money isn't going away. Mickey Mouse is probably going to be one of the ball bearers at my funeral. Or the ball bearers at my funeral. Yeah, man. Disney. If you're going to invest in Disney stock, I would imagine you're going to have a great time, because I mean that's just that's a monopoly itself. You mentioned monopolies. I would consider Disney a monopoly at this point. They own Marvel. They own all these Star Wars. They own everything.
They low-key have the rights to Harry Potter. Like, people
they're
don't
going to own.
But no, they do. They really do. They low-key have the rights to Harry Potter.
Yeah, they own Fox. They own the Moon. They own the North Star. They'll own Mars in the future. They'll. I don't know. It's just crazy. But
Change
anyway,
the name of the to Disney, the happiest place.
The happiest place on Earth. Disney, everything on Earth. Like
us now, man.
It's just crazy. No, but yeah. So if I had the choice to spend this money, which I do, but if I were going to spend this money, I am leaning towards saving it. But if I were to spend it, there are a few things on my list of on my wish list. That's what I'm trying to say, that I would want to buy. One, I mentioned before, a computer monitor. That's one. I am an avid gamer, so you will see me on here playing video games every now and then. But I do need a new monitor, a new desk. This desk is it's lived its time, and it's about time to get out of my house because it's not a very good desk. So I would spend it on that. I would probably recklessly spend it on food, which is the worst thing to buy with your stimulus check, since it's you don't get much use out of food, except, I mean, I guess you survive, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, it doesn't last very long. So, yeah.
Jesse, if you want somebody to come and cook for you, I'll drive the 3 hours. We can sit down and chat. You don't need to go.
Hire.
You don't need to go.
Yeah, I'll hire a personal chef for however long a personal chef would stay with $1,200. I don't even know what the rates for a personal chef are. Probably not cheap, I would imagine. You go to Craigslist and spend your stimulus money on a chef. How sketchy would that be?
Yeah,
it'll start a new virus. They'll cook with something that they probably shouldn't, and that's not funny. All right, I'm gonna move on from that. But yeah, the stimulus check is quite the tackle, and obviously it's nothing we've done before. And I mentioned this in the last episode. This coronavirus is causing the world to change and adjust in ways that it has not had to adjust before. And the stimulus check is, I haven't been alive for anything like it. Like, I don't recall the last time the government has essentially taken money and given it to people because of the lack of jobs and the lack of everything that's going on. I mean, obviously, historically it's probably happened before, but not to this degree, I don't think.
Yeah,
So,
not at all. I mean, I'm sure it happened in 2008 when we hit the recession. And I'm sure even prior to the recession, somewhere between the Great Depression and the Great Recession, I'm sure the government has had to step in and help people. Regularly people do get government assistance. There are 167 million Americans in this country that receive some form of government assistance, whether it's the EBT food cards or the veterans just getting their benefits from leaving the military or Social Security. Which which brings me to a really dark part of this stimulus check. There are actually a large audience of people who are not going to get this check. Large audiences of people who have no access or rights to this check. And, just something simple as just being a student, a high school student that is dependent on their parents.
mhm.
If you're 17 years old, you're not getting a check. Your parents cannot get a check for you.
Yeah, because
Um,
you're not an adult who's filing independently. I'm
you know,
guessing that would be the reason.
but that's always been like a real gray area for me because if the federal government does not recognize you as a legal adult until you're 18 years old, I'm not really sure where this comes into play that if you're 16 or 17 that your parents can't, get a check for you. That's a gray area. Um, that's a real gray area for me. And another one that kind of personally touched me a little bit because I think this is a situation that we're all going to find ourselves in.
Hmm.
Um, one day your parents are going to retire, and some of them are going to keep living on their own. Some of them are going to head to assisted living facilities. And depending on, your family structure or your money or your morals, your parents might actually move in with you. I personally don't trust hospices. So, I'm going to do everything in my power to keep my parents out of any assisted living facility. Why would I put them somewhere where I can't take care of them? They've taken such good care of me. And
Right.
I'm painting this picture because like I really want people to think about this. Um, my parents have been working for upwards of like 30 to 40 years, and they've filed taxes every single year, you
Hmm.
know, and they've done everything they can for me. Now, if this is your situation and your parents are of elderly age and they've moved in with you and you claim them as dependents on your taxes, you're not getting a check for them. These are people that have faithfully paid their dues to this country,
Hmm.
paid into the system, took care of you like they're legally obligated to. And now the turnaround rate of you taking care of your parents, the government's not going to help you with. And it's just for that. It's just because they are over the age of 17 years old.
Yeah,
That's
that's
it.
that's crazy. You
It's
know.
it's kind of like looking at some of the rules or laws in the Constitution. They're heavily outdated and they don't make sense. And the only way that you can explain it to somebody, if you want to throw it, is a shrug emoji.
Hmm.
Tough luck.
I think
Sorry.
it's. I mean, I do think it's a combination of the age of how these things are set up, but also it's a result of the lack of not expecting it to happen. Like, the government wasn't ready for this thing to. Well, let me carefully say this. The government should have been ready for this virus to possibly outbreak because it was heard about a long time ago and it wasn't handled, maybe in my opinion, as well as it could have been. And I'm talking both physically as people and spreading the virus, but also financially as a country. But I will give them, I will give them that it was unexpected. It happened very quickly. And I guess this is just the government's best, emergency plan essentially. Because I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of articles that I've read of like, the president firing the pandemic team and like hiring people that aren't really good
Well,
at.
I don't want to poop all over your statement, but this guy's a fool. This
Yeah.
guy, like between me and you, in all the presidents that I have been alive for, I have never seen so many people voluntarily step down or get fired in one 4-year period, in one presidential term, than in this particular situation. Do I believe the United States was ever at all equipped for this? I really don't think so. I sincerely don't think so. And, I feel that way because when I talk to a lot of people in my daily life, I speak to veterans, I speak to people who get government assistance, I speak to everyday Joes like, such as ourselves. A lot of people are in a really precarious situation just on a daily basis, teeter-tottering over the edge of like how they're going to get things paid for or what they would do on a rainy day. My parents don't have a rainy day fund. A lot of people's parents do not have a rainy day fund because it's just it's all in this system of just greed. I'm not trying to like really poop on this country, but if you look at these other countries and their immediate responses to, stay home so that we can figure this out and we're going to get you guys taken care of. In other countries, you pay a lot more in taxes, but you get what you pay for, whether it's, cheap health, accessible healthcare. And I'm emphasizing accessible healthcare. A lot of people feel like this coronavirus is targeted towards African Americans, and that's not the case at all. Like this pandemic is disproportionately attacking minorities that can't afford health insurance because of the policies that are in place in this country.
Mm-hmm.
So, we can have our opinion as much as we want about free and affordable healthcare, but no matter who you are, no matter what your walk of life is, you should have the ability to get care in any way, whether it's healthcare or financial care, mental care. We talk so highly of this country that it's free and it's so progressive and we do all these amazing things for people. And I almost feel like that needs to have quotation marks around it because I know veterans that don't even get their VA benefits because the government doesn't see the need for them to have it. And that's crazy because that's one of the biggest turn-ons for people to join the military. Ooh, I get those benefits.
Yeah, one thing I do want to say, and this is from a comment from Facebook. This is Justin mentioning and you brought up the point of it being free, quote unquote, free money, right? The stimulus and the free stuff that were handed by the government. But as someone, he says, as someone who works at a bank, no, it is not in advance on next year's tax return, and yes, you get to keep the money. So the stimulus is not like a loan, or it's not going to be paid back. The easiest way to conceptualize this is to consider this $1,200 of your taxes that the government has given to you back in the form of an advanced tax credit that doesn't have to be paid back. So, do I want to believe? Do I believe him? Yes, he's the banking kid. He's the guy who works at a bank. He knows his stuff. But I'm also still, for some reason, I'm just in the back of my brain. I'm skeptical, and I feel like there's just going to be some form or fashion of this coming back and being something not necessarily that we have to go online and swipe our card and pay for, but whether it be through taxes or through an increase in a flare in products, of the cost of products and services, I feel like it's going to come back and bite us somehow. So that's just but that's just my take on it.
By the way, I do want to quote though really quick.
Sure.
From a book that I read in high school called Naked Economics. There's
Economics.
No bare. We're talking money raw. There's no such thing as a free lunch. So when you go somewhere and they tell you, "Oh, look at this complimentary sandwich we're making you," there's no such thing. It costs somebody money to make the bread. It costs somebody money to process the bread. It costs somebody to get the meats. It costs money to do everything to make that sandwich, to get in your hand. So when somebody says, "Oh, this is free," I would discount that entirely. It's going to come back to you. You are going to have to pay for this in one way or another. If the government said, "We're giving everybody a grant," I can work with that because
right.
I'm pretty sure really that you don't pay that back. But we should all be prepared just in case that there we might have to pay that back. I do believe at some point I was told that you have to claim it as like a form of income. Like I made $1,200 this month.
Right. Okay. That makes sense, I guess. So before we get out of here, because we're hitting about that time, do you have any does the chat have any final thoughts? We'd like to share some thoughts that you guys have. Victoria, you can share your final thoughts, and I'll share my final thoughts, and we'll start to head out here as soon as we get through it all.
For sure. You guys, I just want to end this on a positive note. I know we kind of went from like super, super fun and playful to kind of dark real quick. But I just want to put this on a positive note. A lot of us have received the checks, and we're using it for its intended purposes, which is just to get us by for right now. Or if you can save it, go ahead, save it. Don't stress about it. If you have the opportunity, go outside and take a nice deep breath with your dog. It's going to be okay. Take this as a teachable moment to create a budget you can survive off of. And on a much lighter note. The West Palm Beach Animal Shelter adopted out all their pets because of this pandemic.
I read that article. That's awesome. I did see that. So that's pretty cool.
So yes, like in a whirlwind of depression or anxiety or loneliness right now, get yourself over to an animal shelter, guys. Who will really rescue who?
True. No, you're right. But yeah, I would say that this stimulus check, it was confusing for a lot. It still is confusing for a lot. I hope that we were able to at least help a little bit with some people that are listening, or people that will listen to us when we get the podcast up on Anchor. But yeah, I think I'm going to plan on saving it. I do think that we should appreciate what we get from whatever they can pull up for us in terms of the government giving us money. I'm hoping it does help people get out of any financial rut that they might be in during this time of unemployment and furloughing and all that crazy stuff that's going on with people around the country and around the world. So the stimulus checks, hopefully they're more of a good thing than a bad thing in the future. Hopefully, if you are spending it, spend it on something that will help you and make you happy and be useful to you. If you're saving it, do your thing and save your money and make sure that it goes somewhere safe and sound, and it doesn't get sent to the wrong bank account, like me. But with that, I'm just going to throw out some things out here. You can find us here on twitch.tv/IceTKirby. Starting now on Thursday nights at 7. We are not doing Saturday anymore, so don't go about expecting a Saturday show. Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also find us on various social media platforms: Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook. For me, you can find me at IceTKirby. And Victoria, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Do the Hippogriff. That's 2 P's and 2 F's. And if you want to find me on Snapchat, you can find me at hippogriffs.fly.
Hippogriffs.fly. Also, one more thing. Anchor. Anchor.fm is the new platform that this podcast audio will be uploaded to. So please be sure to go to anchor.fm/IceTKirby, and you will be able to find our podcast. The podcast will also be found at various music platforms like Spotify, Google Play Music, Apple Podcasts, and many more. So we will be found on those websites very soon. I believe episode 0, the pilot episode, is already there, which is pretty dang cool, and it's pretty exciting. So please go and check us out. Please be sure to follow the stream so you can get notifications of when we go live next. And please share. Sharing helps us a lot. We just set up our support link, and I will have that in the link on the YouTube channel for Ice-T and the Hippogriff, where you can send in donations, and that helps us grow. And of course, the likes and the shares and the follows all help us too. So please, if you like talking to or being a part of our talks and you want to be a part of the show, please be sure to do that. And voicemails are coming soon. you will be able to send in a voicemail and chat with us, and we can listen to your voicemails. So be on the lookout for that. But with that said, I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. I hope that you learned a little bit of something out of this and got a little bit of enjoyment out of it. And we will be seeing you next week on Thursday. Take care, everybody.